When you think of a forest, like the one behind me, what comes to mind is a whole landmass that is full of trees and canopies. But as you come closer to the forest, you start discovering that what you consider to be very dense and populated and dark is actually made up of individual trees. It's made up of shrubs. It's made up of bushes as well. All those trees that you see there, they serve different purposes. Some of them are hardwood, others are softwood, used for different purposes. Now, when we think about leadership, this is the same challenge that we face every day. Leadership looks like a huge forest. Everybody talks about leadership. But as you start getting closer and deeper into it, you realize that there's so much that can be said about leadership. Think about the definitions of leadership. Many people who have written on the subject of leadership have defined leadership in different ways. Some talk about influence. Others talk about different character traits that make a leader. Others will talk about what it is that a leader does. And on, the list can be lengthy. But one very important thing to appreciate is that all those definitions and descriptions of what leadership is are like the forest that is behind me. Each of those elements and each of those components matter. They add value to the description and understanding of leadership. But there is a challenge that comes in when you decide to take only one element of the forest and you focus on that, then you miss out on what the forest is. Similarly, when you come to leadership and you only take what I call a selective approach to leadership, you must be able to have a holistic look at leadership, but also narrow down to each and every element of leadership. Whether you talk about leadership in families, whether you talk about leadership in church, in corporations, in politics, leadership is manifested in different ways. But when you look at it as a whole sum, you realize and appreciate that there is so much to learn, there is so much to appreciate about leadership, and the sum total of all these small pieces that make up one big piece called leadership is similar to the many trees that are behind here, many shrubs and many bushes that make up the forest. I invite you to a conversation, to a journey of discovery as we get into these forests by the name of leadership. We want to explore the different types and forms of trees and shrubs that make up leadership. Be able to identify the many birds and animals that exist in this forest and make sense of the big, dense forest called leadership as we explore how it applies in our lives, in our families, in our workplaces, and the institutions that we are part of. That is the journey I invite you to, a conversation that you don't want to miss because it's such an important conversation that we need to have today, every day of our lives, because everything rises and falls on leadership. And so we have great leadership, then our institutions will thrive, our families will thrive, our churches will thrive. But if we have bad leadership, we are in for trouble. So join me in the conversation.